Emad Mostaque is a strategist at Religare Capital Markets. The company specializes in emerging markets and has more than 1 million customers from Asia through to the Americas. Well, Emad joins me now. Thank you so much for coming in the studio. There's still so much uncertainty, not only regarding the unrest, but of course how investors are going to take all of this news and whether they will become just a lot more risk averse to the Middle East. Is it fair to talk about the Middle East as a region now, or do we have to look at specific countries?
We can talk about it as a region, but I mean, ultimately it is quite a heterogeneous region with multiple different countries. You have Saudi Arabia on one hand, lots of oil, not many people, and Egypt on the other hand, lots of people, not much oil. And we start to see a differentiation in performance between the regional markets.
But what are you focusing on today? There's so much unrest. We still have quite a lot of protests. Is this something that will impact how you view the region for investments in the future?
Yes, I mean, for the next few years, definitely there's going to be an increased risk premium, and we've seen that in Egypt, which is now 30% down for the year and could possibly go down another 5 to 10% today. But I think it's already in the price largely, with these markets 50% off their 2008 highs.
Egypt yesterday, we were covering it here when the market opened. It hadn't been open for almost 2 months, and you can see that after 10 minutes it actually had to be halted because it went so far below. Do you expect the situation in Egypt to stabilize in the next couple of weeks, or are we still going to have a lot of instability and volatility?
In terms of the actual equity markets, I expect you'll see a little bit more trading today, but by next week you probably have normalized trading. It's effectively the case now where foreign investors are trying to get to the door and liquidate their 0.5%, 1% positions. However, that overhang should disappear in the next few days, except for stocks exposed to government investigations, which make up about 10% of the market.
Emad, what do you tell your customers? They must come to you and say, look, I want to maybe put some money in the Middle East. Is there anything that looks safer than the others? Or is there a real concern that all of this unrest will spread to countries like Saudi Arabia?
There is concern that it will spread to countries like Saudi Arabia, and what we tell our customers there is that in Saudi Arabia's case, you have some issues with the Shia minority, but ultimately that was likely to be resolved soon, and the oil supplies are safe. Our key recommendations are UAE and Qatar, where we've seen no violence whatsoever, and in fact they're probably benefiting from this situation as regional infrastructure grows rapidly and they're perceived as safe havens.
UAE, Qatar, any particular sectors, or just you advise investors to just play on the index or anything that they want?
It's very straightforward to play the index at current valuations, but in Qatar the banking sector will do very well, especially in the run-up to the World Cup, and in the UAE it'll be the constructors and real estate companies, because it only takes 30,000 people to move to Dubai for the supply-demand issues to be stabilized, and it's trading at 7 times earnings.
What about Egypt? It fell by so much. Is there some kind of buying opportunity? We're also hearing talks, but nothing's been confirmed, of possible government intervention on those markets.
Yes, I mean, government intervention has its pluses and minuses. Ultimately, if the market wants to go in one direction, it goes in that direction. But as I said, with 30% down in many stocks now, possibly 40%, there are great buying opportunities. We've highlighted Araska Construction as a good one, good high-quality company in Egypt, mostly foreign operations, and Commercial International Bank, once this all settles next week, as a good play on the long-term structural themes. Because the structural story for Egypt is still there, it's just this year is going to be very difficult, and we see that as a buying opportunity for long-term investors.
What about Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia, it's still difficult to invest in because you have to go through P-notes and CFDs, but that's a market which will do very well in the coming years, especially with King Abdullah having allocated another 25% of the country's GDP towards stimulus packages.
Emad, thank you so much. Emad Mostaque there.